Hi, my name is Mark Bojovic, and let me introduce myself and my family. I have been married to my wonderful wife for almost 20 years. Next month we celebrate 20 years, and the Lord has blessed us with three beautiful children. They are Jaden, who is 12 years old, Josie, who is 7 years old, and little Jace, who is 4 years old. We've lived abroad mostly as missionaries over the past 18 years of our life. So Jaden was born in South Africa when we were living in Southern Africa. And Josie and Jace were both born in Montenegro, where we are currently living in. The focus and the topic of this video is just to share about our oldest son, Jaden, and his eating disorder, amongst a few of the things that he's facing challenges with. When he was around 4 years old, we moved out of Africa to Montenegro, and we didn't see anything, there were no signs, no symptoms or anything of any kind of eating disorder. And as he turned 5 and 6, we did notice some weight gain, and even his teachers in preschool and kindergarten were commenting in this shaming culture. They were shaming him for his weight gain, even as a 6-year-old. And we didn't think much of it. And then as he continued growing in both age and size, maybe around the age of 7 or 8, this is during COVID years, 2020, 2021, we did notice he was gaining weight. And we had a specialist consider his diet and consider his activity level. And we started doing weekly weigh-ins, and so we started weighing him weekly and trying to get him a little fitness tracker watch and try to see how active he was throughout the day. We also try to minimize when we would allow him to have screen time on his tablet and just spend screen time. We had allowed him to eat and watch screen time. And the specialist had advised us to make sure he does not eat and watch screen at the same time. That was a good change at the time for that season, because what we noticed was he wasn't asking for seconds because he'd rather watch his tablet or watch a screen. And so that was one little tweak that helped, him control his eating. The other one was he would often ask for seconds at mealtime. And when we'd give him a 5-minute, let's say, timer, like you can't have a seconds until 5 minutes have passed. And usually he doesn't want to wait, so he just leaves the dining table and he doesn't want to eat anymore. So that was another little tweak that we saw that would work. We noticed that it wasn't just food or hunger. A lot of times it was just eating out of boredom, where if he doesn't have anything to do, he'd rather eat, snack, and another thing is, it's not just eating. Even if we give him water to drink, he would drink so much water that at times he would actually vomit up the water. Or he would just eat uncontrollably. So like if we're at somebody else's house and it's like buffet style, that you can just take as many plates as you want and we're not paying attention, he would eat to the point of eventually vomiting the food. And this would happen maybe a few times a year, kind of a thing. It hasn't happened much in the past year. But we noticed, I don't know if it's something specialists would call oral fixation, like you always have to have something in your mouth, but what we noticed was he doesn't have the ability to know when he has eaten enough or when he's full. He just wants to keep eating. And I don't know if that's a satiety kind of a response. But when we start putting boundaries and limitations on his meals, for example, he can only have a single serving of his dinner and no seconds allowed. At first, he resisted, but then he accepted it as that's the way it is. Sometimes he doesn't understand why his brother and sister could have seconds and he can't, but because they don't have the same problem that he does. They will reach a point of being comfortably full and stop, and they don't have a a weight issue. We've had him tested for quite a few things, and intellectually and behaviorally, there's a lot of challenges going on. And there's not any one thing that he can, let's say, put him into a box, but there's quite a few things, from gross motor skill development and fine motor skill development and balance and coordination. Intelligence is not there, his processing ability is not there. I can say he does have the ability to maintain focus and hold a conversation and ask questions. He does have the ability to memorize trivia and facts and information. But if you ask him to problem solve or process two pieces of information together, it's a big challenge for him. So as a 12-year-old, our 7-year-old is actually doing greater academic work than he is. He's struggling to read, he's struggling to write. So he's got quite a few issues going on, quite a few challenges. And we try to find what works best for him as far as what are his strengths. It's easy to see his weaknesses, but we would try to see what are his strengths. If I bring this topic back to eating disorders, there were times where we've had to lock the door to the kitchen, lock the door to the pantry, because he would wake up before us at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and help himself to snacking and drinking juices and just getting full before breakfast. And sometimes it was behind our back. Sometimes he'd lie about it and cover up his tracks, throwing wrappers into the garbage where we can't find them, or not thinking all the way about throwing wrappers inside the seat cushions, and then we'd find wrappers in the seat cushions. So, yeah, we've had to deal with a lot of those kind of things. And the weight gain continues to grow. Currently, we are on an exercise regime where he joins us at the gym, and we have him exercising for either a set amount of time or calories or burpees, or join like a group fitness class and gets him active. If he's on this routine, Monday through Friday routine, he has pretty good results. There is weight loss, he feels fitter and more cardiovascular, aerobic strength and integrity. There were times where, let's say we're traveling the States and we're not really paying attention to the foods that we're eating or how active we are. And if we go to a park or a zoo, he would get winded and have to sit down frequently. And we felt bad for him. We feel bad as parents. Not self-shame, but we really need to make changes now before it's too late. So we're doing our best right now with trying to limit his portions and increase his activity level. And as long as we stay within those boundaries and guidelines and he's making progress, we're heading in the right direction. And on the weekend, we allow extra candy, chocolates, juices, those kind of things. And sometimes he eats too much. I think another challenge is when we go somewhere else and other people are feeding us desserts or extra food. We try to, like for example, if Coca-Cola is set out for everybody, he'd be the first to pour himself a cup. And then when I see him pour himself a cup, if I say, you already had a sweet drink this weekend, I'm gonna dump it onto the sink. And he of course doesn't like that, but we need to stick to those boundaries. So he often would, behind our backs, try to drink or eat, consume those extra calories without us noticing. So it's a constant challenge. Him wanting to eat out of boredom, eat more, just to get full and stay full, is a constant struggle. When we're on our schedule, with like a Monday through Friday kind of a routine, it works well. When we're not in schedule, when let's say the weekend comes or it's a holiday, or on vacation, that's also where it's a challenge. I feel like the Lord has given us grace to try to walk alongside him in the struggle and steer him instead of cold turkey, make drastic changes. we're trying to make gradual changes that could be long lasting. And not only force him to do things, but now as a 12-year-old, he is growing in maturity and responsibility to be able to make these decisions on his own. So when left unattended, he's going to make good decisions. There are times where he is proud of the fact that maybe on certain mornings he wakes up early and he did not go to the pantry, did not go to the kitchen and snack and drink, and he'll share that with us like as a victory. So we have to celebrate those small victories. And when he's lighter on the scale on the weekly weigh-in, we celebrate those victories. And we're proud of him. And when he has weight gain or the weight gain is really just results of the past week or two of activity and diet, and so is the weight loss. And so we'll want to celebrate his victories for weight loss and getting healthier and fitter and having control over his eating. So it takes a team effort, both parents and him together on the same page. Our other two children, they understand that Jaden does have a problem, an issue with this as a challenge. And so we try to clearly communicate, open lines of communication, sharing that Jaden is limited to one portion or Jaden is limited to this. And that's how it has to be. And so they accept it because they understand the challenge of Jaden. So not sure if this is the kind of eating disorder that everybody's talking about, but is the one we are facing with our son. And if I may add one more thing, there is this one syndrome called, I don't know if it's a syndrome, but it's been called dyspraxia. And I think not dyspraxia, I think it's Prader-Willi syndrome, PWS. And Prader-Willi syndrome, it's a genetic testing. It's out of the 23 chromosomes that we have, I believe it's a not fully formed or a missing piece of chromosome number 15. We haven't confirmed this with Jaden with genetic tests, but Prader-Willi syndrome, there's a lot of symptoms that describe what Jaden is facing right now. And one of them is this not having a satiety response of not feeling full and just continuing to eat. And people that have Prader-Willi syndrome have to be monitored throughout their life, and usually because of obesity, they have shortened lifespans, which is a serious thing. So we're fully aware of that could be a possibility. And so we're trying to do our best right now and educate him so that he can be a self-sufficient, independent adult one day, so that he can live with this. And we're definitely praying for healing. We're praying for and believing for having victory over this challenge, having victory over this weakness and circumstance that we're in. So, yeah, that's our story with our oldest son, Jaden. Thank you for hearing me out, and I do ask for your prayers for us and for Jaden. Thank you. Bye.